I completely understand and sympathize with the profound frustration that so many Albertans have with the way that Canada has worked, particularly in recent years. I understand the frustration that has driven a not insignificant number of Albertans to talk about separation. But I fundamentally believe that that's the wrong path for Alberta. First of all, I am an unqualified Canadian patriot, and I don't believe you can qualify your patriotism. Either you love your country or you don't. And I love Canada, and I love it to the point where I want to improve it so that the Federation works as it was originally conceived at the time of Confederation. That means provinces exercising the powers that they are delegated under the Constitution, including the power to manage and develop and regulate their own resources, which the current federal government has been stepping on. So I would secondly make this point that I don't believe there's an argument, and perhaps this is what Drew is making, certainly others are, that threatening separation or threatening a potential referendum on separation will somehow strengthen our hand. Look, you don't make a threat that you're not prepared to keep. And I have not seen a single public opinion poll which indicates we're anywhere close to a majority of Albertans voting to leave Canada. And so I regard it as an empty threat. And I think making a threat like that would actually be counterproductive for those who advocate it. Thirdly, I would point out that the real crisis in this province is an economic crisis. It's a jobs crisis. And we're not going to get our economy growing again or get jobs back here if, first of all, we landlock ourselves with no potential access to the coasts for pipelines. And we're certainly not going to get investment to create jobs back in Alberta if we create a crisis of confidence by having a vote on separation. So I would say to folks who believe that's a clever tactic, let's keep our eye on the ball as Albertans. Everything we do has to be focused on getting our economy back, getting people back to work. Now, part of that is getting a fair deal in the Federation. Part of that is getting pipelines built and maximizing leverage to make sure it happens. Part of it is repealing anti-growth federal policies like the No More Pipelines law, the tanker ban. Part of it is getting a fair deal in terms of transfers with the fiscal stabilization program and equalization. All of those things connect back to the economic imperative in this province right now. But the answer to a campaign to landlock Alberta Energy is not for us voluntarily to landlock Alberta Energy by separating from this federation or by pulling ourselves out of the NAFTA free trade agreement with the United States. And if people think that this is some kind of a clever ploy, I would just invite them to look at what happened to the Quebec economy after the election of the Parti Québécois in 1976 on a threat to hold the 1980 sovereignty referendum. The dozens of major employers representing tens of thousands of jobs pulled out of Quebec. They went from Montreal mainly to Toronto. Real estate prices collapsed overnight, and hundreds of thousands of Quebecers left the province. So, no, I don't think this is a clever tactic. I think that's effectively, at a time when we've got to focus on economic growth, restoring investor confidence, and creating jobs, making that kind of threat that would destabilize investor confidence would be hugely counterproductive.